Hello, mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 128. Our hosts today are the usual suspects, Ian.
Hello.
Larsh.
Hey, how's it going?
Biter.
Bark.
And myself, Old Bob 10025. Today we have a special guest host is IQ from TMC.
Hi guys.
Say hi.
Anyway, we're doing a follow-up to one of the shoutouts we did last week about the fan-made trailer, video. How would you call it, IQ? It's mostly a trailer, right?
Yeah, it's something between a pilot episode and a trailer, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say pilot, since it's going to be similar to their future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so the pilot for a project called Hired Steel. And IQ agreed to be on the First Circuit podcast today. And today we're going to talk about the project and bring some insights into both the project and the team behind it. So for those of you who missed last episode or who just kind of fell asleep during the first few minutes, completely understandable, by the way. IQ, what is the project? Can you give us a quick summary what Hired Steel is about?
Yes, thank you. So Hired Steel is the result of me and my friends actually being hit by the coronavirus and having a lot more time at our hands than usual. And so we sat down and revived the old TMC group a little bit because we actually kind of stopped making videos, I guess 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And because I've been working in animation since then, I actually thought we could do a full CG animation, a full 3D animation. And I recently discovered Astartes from Warhammer 40k, which is a similar project, like on a much better scale, but I was so inspired by that I thought we have to do that for Mechwarrior. So it's a full CG Mechwarrior animation that will be released in episodes.
Very cool.
Yeah, cool.
How long will the episodes...
Before we dive...
I was going to ask, how long will the episodes be?
Yeah, we talked about this already a little bit before the stream, before you came on. It's the pilot was supposed to be a teaser. It was supposed to be 15 seconds long, and we just kept adding more stuff, and we wanted to show this and that, and then let's make a cockpit. But the actual episodes, they should be around like 2 minutes or 2 minutes 30.
Okay.
Just very briefly, what's the sort of premise of the series?
The premise, I mean, it's actually, we are still planning for the later episodes, but the premise right now for Hired Steel is we have a mercenary lance from a fictional mercenary corporation that we made up ourselves, and they are sent on a contract on a very distant Outer Rim world. Outer Rim Star Wars, but what do you call it in Battletech? The
Periphery.
Periphery, exactly. Yeah. A periphery planet called Iron Land, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they have a task, and that's all we know. In the pilot, they get dropped on the planet, and the first episode picks up right after that.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Very cool. So, what we usually do on the First Circuit when we have guests is we try to talk a bit about the guest before we dive too deep into the, let's call it content. So, IQ, you already said you're an animator. Can you give us some more info on who you are and how you got involved with Hired Steel?
Yeah. Actually, for me, it's really, really interesting because Mechwarrior and Mechwarrior Online actually brought me into this career field. When I was still in school doing my A-levels, we started with TMC, and for those who don't know us, we've been doing this since 2012 now. So our first Machinima came out in 2013 as a unit promotion for the unit I was a part back then, and other units just kept approaching us saying, we want a promotional video as well. So we did one for Phoenix Legion, we did one for Clan Ghost Beer, and those are all still up, like 5 years old now. And then I finished school and I had to think about, what do I actually want to do? So I started studying 3D animation in university. So I moved to Cologne when I was 18 and studied for 3.5 years, and that wrapped up in 2019. And since then, and already during my university time, I was working as official title is 3D generalist. So I do everything 3D. It's like I do animation, I do simulation, texturing, modeling, rendering. I do photo edits, basically everything you can think of, and I do it. Until September, I worked in a advertisement agency here in Western Germany. I just recently quit that job to proceed a more personal career in this field.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Nice. So definitely following your passion, even though things are kind of on a weird downturn. But hey, I mean, it's good to find a thing you like and just go with it.
Yeah,
it's the
true.
best way to do it.
True.
And I mean, right now is the best time to do any IT related job
Yes.
remote.
Yeah.
So.
True.
True that.
So, out of personal curiosity, did you go to a public university or some private institution?
No, I actually picked a private institution, but if anyone who's watching is interested in this career path, I can strongly, what should I call it? Don't go to a private university. It's really not
Yep.
worth it. It's several 10,000 euros of a debt, and university is usually free in Germany, so that really hurts. And there are some great public schools for this as well. So if you are in Germany, there's definitely some public schools who are at least as good as the school that I went to, if not better. So don't go to a private university.
Yeah,
It's not
I was
worth
kind
it.
of curious about that because a few years ago when I decided on a career path, I also looked at a lot of those private institutions. Since, I mean, back then, like 5-6 years ago, public universities didn't really offer any kind of 3D program. So back then you kind of had to go to a private institution, and oh my god, they are expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, at that point you could just go to the US.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Be paying either way if you come here to the States even.
All right. So you already answered my next question. Damn it. And the next one after that. Also damn it. Okay.
What was your next question?
Let's go
Go on
ahead
through the
and
list.
how did you get involved with the franchise Mechwarrior Battletech in general?
It's funny, I actually posted something on Twitter a few days ago when I was visiting my parents. And in the attic, I found all the old Mechwarrior games from my dad. And that's actually how I got into the franchise. So my dad one day just gave me, I guess it was Mechwarrior 3. And I just played it on his PC and really fell in love with the whole feel of it. I mean, if you look at these games now, they look so incredibly old, but back then it was really crazy cool.
Yeah.
And then when I got a little bit older, I played Mechwarrior 4, really played it, spent a lot of time on that, and then somewhere in 2012, Mechwarrior Online came along, and I spent thousands of hours first with my unit, actually playing, like competitive playing, and then getting into content creation around it.
Very cool. Are you involved with Mechwarrior 5 currently?
No, I have not picked it up yet.
Why is
The
that?
thing is,
Well done.
the thing is, I try to, the past few years I actually played a lot less on the PC because I just had so much work. And I have a tendency to just get sucked up into all these games. I told Bob earlier that I picked up No Man's Sky, and the days after that are just a blur of like 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
That was our last podcast. Whenever I splurged about that game, and I spent almost over 100 hours already playing that game.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started because I will waste this podcast.
Okay. And I mean, speaking of time sinks, are you involved with the Battletech tabletop game?
No, mainly because I just have nobody to play it with.
Aww.
That's like how it goes, it seems, you know?
It is. I got no one to
We
play
need
with,
to,
but I'm
like-
still getting the stuff though.
Bob, legit, we need to figure a way to play it on Discord. there's
Only way
any
we could do
way.
is like a turn, like the old play by mail type thing. Like I move, you move, then we do that kind of thing.
Play
That's
by
about it.
mail.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tabletop simulator.
there's software like MegaMech, which is basically tabletop simulator in extreme detail. So there are definitely ways. We should.
We can
We
figure
should.
something
But
out.
anyway, going back though.
All right. So, IQ, what was your motivation to start your work on Hired Steel? Anything specific beyond the Warhammer project?
Well, the Warhammer project was the biggest one because I mean it was a combination of factors. It was that I just worked like 1 or 2 days a week during the starting days of COVID in Germany, and I was just sitting around and wasting my time. Freelance projects went away as well, and then I saw Astartes and I realized, hey, I actually, if I spend a lot of time, I can do the same thing. It's just a ginormous project effort. So while the pilot episode doesn't look as good as Astartes, I think it looks acceptable enough. And if we start building on that with the first episode now, we are getting really close to something as good as that. And I, of course, don't want to copy it, but it was a huge inspiration. And then I dug a little deeper and I actually saw that nobody has ever done anything like this for Mechwarrior or Battletech. So nobody has ever made any real animations or 3D animations, especially not on a modern scale. I mean, the last real CG thing was the intro of Mechwarrior 4 with the guys walking out of that hangar and then stuff exploding. And after that,
still the best cinematic.
yes,
in the
it's
franchise.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I just thought about, well, imagine something like this with 2020 technology and actual story. And yeah, so that was the inspiration.
Yeah.
Combination of time and ideas.
So completely going off the rails here, but the Mechwarrior 4 intro features a mix of acting, like actors being recorded, and full CG. Do you have any plans to combine those elements, or are you staying at full CG?
It's funny because if I show you our old brainstorming documents from 2014 when we were still making Kinema, we actually thought about this. Because members from TMC are pretty much all from Germany, and if we could want, we would. It would be possible to meet up and just shoot video. But I spent a lot of time on real movie sets during my studies, and it's really, really hard to get good acting.
Yeah,
And it's even a lot harder with all the funny Battletech stuff. I mean, the Neuro helmets itself, they already look very funky, and you would have to spend so much time and R&D into making these sets actually look believable that it's easier to make them in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Understandable, very much. So, from the things that you have published so far, what work are you most proud of?
I guess the most recent video is always the one I'm the most proud of. Back then, when Hard Steel wasn't done, I guess it was This is Mechwarrior Online. The 2 videos, I don't know if you've seen them. They are basically, I was sitting down with Bandit from the MRBC, Ben, and we recorded every single match live. I was there as a spectator with my controller flying around the match at 3 a.m. in the night because it was always American time, and I was also recording the TeamSpeak voiceover, and I just had like hours and hours of footage, and then I tried to turn this into these short cinematic videos, and they were accepted really well, and we actually won the MechCon 2015 Machinima Award for the second one.
Nice.
Cool.
So that was really cool, but right now it's Hard Steel just because I spent several hundreds hours of work on it.
Yeah. Is there any part of Hired Steel that you are particularly proud about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the look of the mechs. We are using the MWO mechs as a base, and then I'm retexturing them, and it turned out to look actually really cool in combination with with photorealistic environments. But now that I think a little bit more about it, it's I guess what Bob said, the bridge of the dropship. Because this is all handmade. Complete things is completely handmade, and I spent so much time on that.
I thought that was amazing. I mean, just what you had on there, no one did that before. And I think you guys did a perfect job on that, and how it looks. They're walking around, they're doing their things. There was a coffee mug on one of them or something like that. Like I recall, that was cool. I mean that type of detail is what makes really good video. When you put that little tiny things like in there, it's perfect. And no one did that, and I love it. It was great.
Thank you. Later in the podcast, I talked with Ian about it. I have some scenes open. I can do some screen share, and I can show you around in the scenes and show you
Cool.
what I did and
great.
what we did in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, with you being part of the team, what do you actually do? What did you contribute in regards to Hired Steel? Do you just make the models? Who does the animations, etc., etc.?
So with a big project like this, you have around 5,000 tasks probably. So everyone does a little bit of everything, but I'm always jumping around. So I had my hands in everything. I did most, if not all, of the texturing. I did a lot of work on the environments. I mean, the stuff I spent the most time on is like organization. So I do all of this. I do our Patreon. My Twitter is the main communication source. I try to keep us organized internally because we've grown to like 7 people now. But technically, I spent time on everything.
Yeah.
And later when we talk about our team, I can show you who actually does what. In the process.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of your Twitter, as always, for the audience, links are going to be in the respective descriptions for both the Twitter and YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And again, I highly recommend checking out everything they have posted, especially on Twitter. Some of those pictures. Now that you said photorealistic environments, I'm kind of curious. The shadow hack in the parking lot. Is that parking lot a picture or is that a scene?
So that is called an HDRI. So that is a 360-degree panoramic photo with like a, 32K resolution. And it has, if you know about photography, it has several f-stops baked in it. So it has a huge dynamic range. And you can actually use that panoramic image to light the whole 3D scene. So I haven't set up any fake lights or anything. It's like the real deal. So that's why it looks so realistic.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those pictures just blew me away when I first saw them. I definitely had to double stop and see, like, is that a picture of a parking lot?
Yeah, it's funny because these pictures actually, especially on Facebook with the Battletech groups, they have actually gained a lot more traction than the video itself. Just these pictures, because I guess for some reason they went kind of mini viral or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and then I also see that you also have a Patreon too for social media stuffs. So
definitely check it out.
So I guess if you want to do some support, go on there too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patreon is for the whole TMC and for whatever we choose to do additionally. If you know about animation, you know that the license costs of these programs alone amount up to a few $1,000s a year. Hardware, and I got my invoice for energy last month, and I have to pay extra now because I was rendering so much. It eats up a lot of money, so the Patreon definitely helps. Yeah.
And also with content creation, it's animators have always struggled on places like YouTube, just advertising. If you only make a video once every few months, you're not getting that many views relative to someone who makes a video every day.
True, I mean the video was very well received, and it has a crazy like to view ratio, which is like very unusual, but it only has 10,000 views, and we don't have any advertisement on that channel. So
Yeah, so I'm guessing you're not even allowed to really advertise your videos on YouTube, presumably. So Patreon is your main source of any income.
and we just chose to not do it because it's just easier to just give them away completely non-commercially. Everybody can watch and download them. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So you teased us a fair bit. So I really want to know about the tools you use. You already showed us some stuff pre-podcast. What do you guys think? Should we take a look at those really cool?
Yeah, I think that'd be
Yeah,
great.
sure. Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, so you will have to stop me if I get too technical, because
Just
if we talk about
go
everything,
ahead.
this podcast will be several hours long. But,
That's totally fine.
so I will share my screen now.
Yeah.
So you tell me if you see anything.
Yeah, I see it now. I see us on us there.
All right. So.
I recognize one part already. It's a mouse.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will try to get a little bit structured here. So we will start with, so this is Trello. I don't know if you guys have ever used it.
No, I haven't.
It's basically a digital pinboard. So this was our attempt at organizing everything for the pilot episode. And everything started basically with this storyboard that I drew.
Oh.
And you can see here that it was basically just a very, very short teaser. And then we just started adding more stuff, and then it started to become animations. And as you can see here, we started with like version 6 and ended up with like version 22, and the final release was version 24. Then we made a shot list. So this is like a tool that you can use to just get a better overview over all the scenes. I tried to assign tasks to different people, and in the end, it was mostly It's hard to structure all this because the best plan just goes away when the first enemy contact arrives. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, true.
And so the basic stuff is always the max.
Wow,
So
that looks
this is
amazing.
Thank you. This is one. Yeah, let's wait for it to load. I have too many programs open. My PC is probably struggling a bit right now. If this takes too long, we can just cut it, but it should.
Yeah. I mean, while reloading, what kind of hardware are you wanting to make this even possible?
I have a pretty beefy workstation. I have a Intel 990K with like 16 cores and 2 graphics cards. It's all SSD based, so it's a decent rig. It's not anything crazy. It's like if you would assemble it today, it would be like 1,500 euros or something. So it's a good gaming machine, but it's definitely possible for the normal user.
Okay.
So this is the Rifleman that we have for Hired Steel, and as you can see, it deviates quite a bit from the MWO Rifleman. There's stuff that I added in there, like these lamps here. I modeled these grills, and that's a scheme that goes for every mech. I try to touch them up a little bit and fix the very low resolution parts of the models and add stuff where I think it fits. Every mech has kind of its own quirks, its own. For example, the Rifleman is obviously anti-air, so I made these anti-air lights here that it can use to illuminate the sky if it shoots up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely gives it its own personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you rewatch Hired Steel, you can actually see that every mech has its little quirk. For example, the catapult has this rotating radar on the top, and also smoke launchers if it ever needs them. Yeah. So next part, after I modeled extra stuff and fixed everything, is rigging. So
sorry to interrupt you. Quick question: do you do the modeling in Blender or do you use Autodesk?
I use Blender.
Okay.
I'm just much faster in Blender. Every modeler has their own favorite program, but for me it was always Blender because it's very shortcut based. And when you get really fast in Blender, it looks like these crazy StarCraft players that don't even use the mouse anymore.
Yep.
So the next part is rigging, and this means assigning an actual skeleton to your model. This has the benefit that it looks a little bit like if you have a puppet and you are a puppeteer, because then you can just take these parts and use them as if it would be a real puppet.
Huh.
So this makes the animation possible, actually.
Wow.
So we have controllers for everything set up. You can move everything, and it stays on the ground. This is always the fun part. It's also very, very tedious, and all the credit goes to my friend Andreas here. He set up all of this himself. If you export the MWO models from the engine, they come with a skeleton, but we threw it all away and completely remade it. So
Any reason for that?
These features here, for example, that it stays on the ground. This, that it actually is locked to the ground. This is all very hard to set up if you have a predefined rig. And by the way, credit to Hefe, actually, if you know him, because he built this whole exporter from Mechwarrior Online to any 3D program himself. And without his programs, this wouldn't be possible at all.
Nice.
Yeah. So then if you have the skeleton set up, you turn it into an animation.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And we built these things that we call walk cycles, which is just the basic movement cycle of a skeleton that you can then speed up or slow down or start and stop. And this actually took a lot of tweaking. All the mechs behave kind of differently. It's very hard to get the weight feeling right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work as well. And also credit to Andreas for that, because I have no idea how to do this stuff. Yes, and then if you're done in Blender, I mean, is this okay, or is this too fast?
It's perfect.
Or...
It's amazing.
Okay.
I just never got into this part of like looking at and on how animation works. I never did that before.
Yeah,
just
and
amazing.
this is some people said, oh, it's crazy. You took 4 months for this, and you have this is not set up for you. You have to figure this out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just the part that I will show you next is like taking this and putting it into a texturing program. It takes like 6 or 7 attempts always, because there's always some little detail wrong, or some vertex you flipped, or a UV problem. Because what I'm giving you right now is just a very basic overview. The reality of it is that you have to take care of so many more things. For example, that these are called low poly models, so they are low detail, so that they can work in the engine. If you look at the concept art from PGI, you see that they normally have much more detail. But these models are only on PGI servers, and we have no access to it. So we have to work with the low resolution models and then touch them up where they are too bad. For example, here in this part, I just added my own parts because the PGI model is like too little detail. And then you have to work with predefined stuff like how they set up their textures, and no, I killed it. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's all right.
That's fine. We can.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Whoop.
For example, this here is like this tells the program how a flat texture is wrapped around the model. Because the PC can't figure that out himself. So for every part here, you have a part here that tells the engine where this texture is wrapped around.
Oh man.
Yep.
It's like digital origami, for example.
Yeah.
You could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're just mentioning, the fact it takes 4 months, because it's a big giant Lego set. Basically, there's so many different moving parts all fitting into one another. It's not like some simple stickman animation like back in the old days. And big thing is, of course, that this can all be rendered now on home hardware. You do still need something better than a toaster,
Mhm.
but you don't need the server farms like in the old days of
Yes.
when Pixar was starting up.
Exactly. And if we wanted, we could have done this in Unreal Engine, for example, and then it would have been real time. And if you look at what people do with like Star Wars: The Old Republic nowadays, they all do that in engine. So it's real time. But for me, I'm just more used because of my day job to these kinds of programs. Yeah. So to not get too hung up on this, I then take it and put it into a program called Substance Painter. And Ian mentioned already that this has been topic of another podcast previously. But to just give you a short overview, this is basically a program that takes the mesh, the untextured mesh, and what I do is basically miniature painting, but in 3D. So you have all these materials that you can set up, and it's not hand painted. So for example, you use an algorithm that edges away the worn edges, so I don't have to paint them all myself.
I was going to ask you about that actually. Like, how'd you get that? So yeah, cool.
Yeah. So you set up all these parameters, and then the program edits the parts of your texturing work for you. And this is a very heavy project, so you can see it's loading quite a while, even on my system. But yeah, this is, for example, how it would look without the worn edges and just the rust. And then I have this layer here, which is like edges damages, and this sets up the damaged edges, which makes it a lot more haptic.
Yeah.
And for that, you set up different filters, and you paint all these little decals on it, like the unit logo or like warning signs. Yeah, after
much more complicated painting scheme, like in the Mech Lab in MWO.
Oh,
There's a lot more detail.
This is like if you took that plus Photoshop and then some.
Exactly. So the painting scheme for the protagonists is like 2 colors. So we have this woodland camo and then these dark gray parts. And you will see why they need a woodland camo. Oh no, it doesn't autosave now. Okay, well, we can come to that later because this is several gigabytes and this takes a while. But yeah, then you have your textured mech, and you can export all of that again as textures and then set it up in your scenes. And then,
I'm not sure if this is the best way to ask it, but it's like I'm imagining it almost like a plastic model. What's the process you went through to actually put all the details? So, like, do you first just give it the woodland part, then you put in the windows, then do what is your process for painting these mechs?
So, well, I have prepared that actually for you guys. We're back now. So this is our Patreon, and I've written behind the scenes posts for all of this. And I actually made a post about this texturing process. And I will just give you a very quick look at the exclusive stuff. So this is the texturing process. So you actually start with this very basic green paint.
First you spray paint it with green.
Yeah, okay. Then I add in a second material. So this is like glossy metal for all the metal surfaces, like vents or stuff that should not be painted.
Highlights.
Then the woodland camo comes in and the secondary color as well. Then the next thing is worn edges. So this gives it the haptic feeling of like actual painted metal, like this paint flaking off on the edges.
Everyone knows militaries don't look after their vehicles.
Exactly. Next big thing is decals. So I like to add in all these warning decals and warning explosive, warning hot, nuclear reactor, all this stuff gives it a little bit more detail.
All the no touchy signs.
Exactly. And then there's a last pass. It's like kill marks or bullet holes. Just mech-specific stuff. The Hunchback has a little inscription on its gun, stuff like that. And then the final thing looks like that.
That's cool. I mean,
So when do you
A
do
lot
the
of
cockpit?
layers, yeah.
Sorry, what?
When's the cockpit? That's I saw like the little metal pits were highlighted, but for quite some time the cockpit was just also getting camouflaged.
Oh yeah.
So when do you do the glass and all that?
The glass is actually just the texture from the PGI guys. There's no touch up to that. We want in episode 1 to actually show the cockpits themselves, like in the Shimmering Sword artworks. You can actually see through the cockpit windows and look at the person sitting there with the controllers. We want to do that, so I didn't put much detail into the window textures if we end up just not showing them.
Yeah, now I'm just imagining from the TIE Fighter Star Wars short film, the Ultra Zoom. All the
Yeah,
way to
that is a big inspiration for us as well. Yeah, I love that shot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How do you do the or where do you do the lights? Is that also part of the texturing?
The lights. I will go into the cockpit for that. The Dropship Cockpit, because then you take it out of your texturing program and you actually set it up in your 3D program. So for the pilot, we worked completely in Autodesk Maya on my PC. So I had to do all the rendering exactly just on my PC. For the next episodes, we will switch to another program for that, actually completely to Blender. But yeah.
How'd you come up with the idea for the Dropship Cockpit?
I cut out the window arrangement from the actual PGI model, and then just let my imagination flow.
Okay.
Yeah, because I really like the way that in Star Wars they have these bridges in the Imperial Star Destroyers with like battle stations.
Yeah.
And they're all like lower.
Because all the angular stuff and big consoles, it feels very Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this multi-level thing with like the lower personnel sitting down here and the commando bridge up here. The pilots in front with like actual pilot controls.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was textured in Substance Painter as well. And then you just export it completely to your 3D program, and all these red squares here, they are all lights. So this is all different lights, ceiling lights, artificial lights that just fly around and are invisible but serve to brighten up the scene.
And
all the monitors.
Oh, sorry. Like I was gonna say, each screen you have something different. Like if you look at the screens, you got some different type of picture, and that's great too. Yeah,
we actually made these ourselves. Yeah, one of the Team C members who animated all of them. Now that I look at it, this one is actually flipped, and this is in the final movie. So
that is some attention to detail, though.
I know.
It's very detailed there. It's not just some random thing for effort that many. Like,
see, number one dad. I love that. That's cool.
This is the cup.
And all the steam pouring out of it.
Little steam texture there as well. Yeah.
That is great. Oh my god.
Oh, I kind of forgot. The Leopard dropship, when it's in space, does it fly horizontally?
Yes.
Okay. And is the bridge sitting like this then, like flipped 90 degrees? I'm kind of wondering how gravity works.
The bridge is on top of the dropship, and this is actually the thing. I learned that there's no such thing as artificial gravity in BattleTech, so they would all be wearing magnetic boots.
Yeah, and magnetic cups.
Yeah,
magnetic cups too, or something like that, right?
Yeah, and then
like this. There we get into the area of Mechwarrior, which is actually a small problem for us because, as you know, this whole thing with like giant walking mechs doesn't really work. Like, how would you get ammunition to this gun?
If there's no gravity,
We
yeah.
can talk about physics.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, don't
so-
worry. The ammo just somehow makes it all the way from the far
Exactly.
left leg up through the
I mean,
torso
Exactly.
to
The ammo
the
is
arm.
somewhere here, and while this thing is walking, the ammo gets transferred up here into the gun.
And
Science.
remember, the ammo is dehydrated, and on its path to the launcher, it gets filled with water, so it actually goes up in size to the actual
Yeah.
missile
It's like
size.
powdered
Very important
ammunition.
step.
There we go.
Well, you
So-
see,
so-
actually, people in the BattleTech universe are actually kind of like orcs from Warhammer 40k. A lot of things are powered by belief.
Mhm, exactly. And that's the same for this bridge. They just have gravity, and
Okay,
it's okay.
fair enough.
Yeah, but I actually have this model here, the outside of it as well, completely retextured it and changed some stuff for the landing shots. I think there's a few shots in there where the dropship leg comes in, and for that we had to. The last thing I wanted to show is this the simulations that we are doing. I wrote a post on these smoke simulations.
Yeah, smoke simulations are fun.
Oh, yeah,
I'm assuming
huh?
those are being done in Blender as well.
No, I use a program called Houdini for this.
Okay.
It's actually like a industry standard Hollywood simulation program, and they use it for all the great stuff that you see in movies. And this is actually like one of the more expensive programs, which is also where we did the environments for the first episode of Hard Steel. And like if you just look at how this is set up, how much work actually went into creating all these node trees for the environment, and this is where the 4 months were spent on. It's like a crazy amount of work.
And that's just environment, though, right?
Exactly, just the grass. But this is the program that we do the smoke simulations in.
Because it's there's the smoke, there's the thrust, there's the trees, and then reacting to like the thrust isn't just the wind and stuff.
Yeah,
So all of that you don't want to manually animate. So
No. These trees are made in a program called SpeedTree, and then Andreas set up some wind parameters and exported the whole sequence of the tree, like 200 frames, and then I placed them into the scene and made them like go apart where the dropship comes through, and yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, for example, so just to show you, I can show you this really quick. This is how you would basically set up smoke. So this thing just makes smoke for you. You have certain presets that I almost never use because you really grow quickly out of them. But this is basically simulation software.
This is in Houdini, you said?
This is in Houdini, yeah. Yeah, and then you would use all kinds of different fields and sources, and I have this here. This is like a flow visualization of the smoke force in this this particular simulation, and
Wow.
you probably realize it's like way too much for this podcast.
No, this is great.
No,
This is
actually, it's
really good
fine, to
see.
tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm enamored, man. I'm like, oh my god, this is cool.
I'm just being mind blown. I
I
roughly
know.
know how to do most of these things in Blender, and seeing how they're done properly is just.
Yeah, because what? Because you have about like what 3 to 4 different programs, and then you just export and import and put them into one main.
Probably
program.
more, yeah.
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 I think for this I actually have a little document here. So this is our old pipeline with all the
good.
different programs. Like a little.
Can you
like a
can you make
little-
that bigger at all, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
So this is our old pipeline. We refactored that for the new episode. But this is how the pilot was made. So I gave you a little overview of this. I gave you a little overview of that, of this, of here. What I didn't show you was all the rendering in an engine called Redshift. All the compositing, the cut that I made in Premiere.
yeah, so this is how the Lego spaceship is made.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is how the Lego product is made. It's got multiple things going there.
Now we haven't had, we've seen you're obviously interested in the animation side, but the audio side, who on your team does that? Because of course the audio is quite good in the pilot episode as well.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we have some experience making audio for this stuff because all of our machinimas are re-audioed. So there's like there's no in-game recording we ever did. So we have some experience on there, and it's a member of our team. His name is Tim. He did all the editing, all the sound editing, all the thruster sounds, and I did some of this as well. So his sequence is just this. He just makes it in I think he uses FL Studio or something. He's like a hobby audio engineer, and I just added some stuff to George voiceover, and he put it through a mixer, and 4 months of back and forth.
Yeah. Nice.
Your timeline is looks crazy, compared to what I do. Basically, looks really nice. So it just looks really crazy.
Yeah, and this is already rendered. So this is just the intro, and it comes in as a rendered video sequence, and you don't really see what's really in there already.
You were talking about back and forth. What kind of solution do you use for exchanging files?
We used to use Google Drive, just a simple Google Drive. I will just switch back to a more pleasant thing to look at. We used to use Google Drive. That got incredibly convoluted and complex. So I actually rented a cloud server now, and we all have a shared folder on our PCs. Have a project structure. It looks a little bit more like the professional animation projects that I worked on during my agency times. So I just copied all of the file structures because they really make sense.
That looks amazing. Your texture on it is just incredible, and it actually does look like the Pirate's Bane. That is cool.
I try to not copy it, but the Pirate's Bane actually has a really nice look to it. And all the different stuff that I added to the locus that makes it a little bit more.
Now, this is
less army-like, yeah.
That's like a standard Pirate's Bane with the 2 machine guns and the medium laser.
Yes.
And then what's up with the little spikes on the right-hand side at the very top?
Pirate's Bane, pirate stuff.
That's just the pilot feeling cool.
He's gonna ram people with that.
It's for that awesome melee action on that little guy.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you notice, I actually added some pistons and some cables and some other stuff. I completely remodeled the machine guns as well as the laser.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, just like it all looks really good and detailed. Looks really nice.
Damn.
I love how this podcast is just IQ showing
but legit, I mean, this does look very nice though.
From afar, though, it looks like just 3 machine guns. If you ask me.
Yeah, it does actually. When you get it closer up, though, it looks beautiful.
But it's the fact that you've taken the time and effort to add in the detail when you do zoom in. Yeah,
it's the stuff that is called like third pass detail, stuff that you notice with the first look, stuff that you notice with the second look, and then stuff that you notice with the third look.
Exactly, yeah.
With the third look, you would, for example, notice that I have broken up the geometry here, so that it actually looks a bit more janked up, or
Yeah.
I don't know what else I did. Most of this stuff is done at like 3 a.m. and I'm just listening to music, and I'm like in the tunnel, and in the next morning I look at it and I'm like,
What I do there?
Yeah.
That is the best time to watch.
Why does it have spikes? I don't know. They look cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just came in.
Yeah, it's the best time is when it's like 3 a.m. You're on coffee or you're on like vodka or whatever it is, and you're just hashing it out and you just make stuff up.
Yeah.
It's the best way to be creative.
Yeah. For me especially, yeah. You would have to ask my girlfriend if that sleep cycle is actually pleasant to her, but it's the best way to work for me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could show you 7 million more files, but then this podcast would get really technical. So,
Forever. I think
yeah.
Ian. I think
I-
Ian had a few more questions. Bob, I
Yeah.
think you had a few more, and
Yes,
I
let's
mean,
get back
I
to
have
the
I have many
Yeah.
more questions, but
Back to work.
whatever you want to show us, basically.
Oh
well,
my god.
yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It can also walk, run, to be more specific.
Does this plan to be like inside the next video?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away, but for everyone who keeps watching until here, they have to have a little treat. So yeah, this is one of the assets we are making for the first episode now.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
guess if the audience wants more details, there's always your Patreon.
Yes.
Yes.
There's always a
And
Patreon.
subscribe on the YouTubes. So,
YouTubes.
yeah.
Wow. I think the most iconic mech would be the Locust from Crusher Joe. You know, that's where they got the basics from it, and this is just amazing. What it turned out to be from way long ago.
There's really cool stuff we're doing. We have two guys from the BattleTech community, Karl Steiger and another guy that I don't want to give away right now, who are like completely making new assets for us. Like I showed you pre-stream, showed you this. This is
Bob makes
our
nice camera for that one.
Yeah, this is our own custom scout car design. It's called the Muskrat. It's a completely self-made model, and we Karl Steiger, or Christian is his real name. He invented this thing and made it just for us. So
that's cool.
And we have other stuff like that planned. So.
Slow poke.
No, not the slow
in.
poke.
It's in the background for. Now the thing is, does he know what a slowpoke is?
I know the Pokemon, yeah.
Oh, Biter, real quick, do you want to give him a real quick rundown on what that is?
Real quick.
It's a 10-ton mech. It's like an even tinier urban mech. It doesn't even have a torso. It's just two legs with a blob in the center, and yeah, it has jump jets and a medium laser for some reason.
The important thing about a Slowpoke is it's a Liao mech. They copied a Deviant ultralight design, and they managed to keep it at the same tonnage, 10 tons, but they stripped half the weapons, most of the armor, most of the speed, most of the jump jets, so they just managed to make a worse mech, and it's beautiful.
So the thing with some of these mech designs in BattleTech is you never know if they're a joke or actually real.
Yeah.
The yeoman.
I feel that every time I look at any stock mech design, it's just like, oh god.
It's still part of lore, and it's all that matters.
So
True.
I ended my screen sharing. If you want to see more, we can pick it back up. But I guess it would be nice to get back to some questions.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
So to my co-hosts, do you have any questions as follow-up to the tool side of things?
I think we've gone over quite a lot, so I think that's pretty much good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at my script and I crossed out so much stuff already. Is there anything you wish you've done earlier or different or not at all so far?
So if you look at the pilot episode again, you can see that I actually spent time making the grass move. The grass like moves in the wind, which is like completely not necessary. And we built a system to flatten the grass where the mechs step on it. And with the camera angle in the last shot, you don't see it.
Oh, so it's there, but it's like
it's there, but it's like you can't even see it. And I together with a friend from work, we spent like half a week on this.
man.
Oh no.
So there's all of these kinds of things, stuff that we just ended up throwing away, stuff that's really not necessary. A lot of experimenting, just in the beginning, just experimenting if we could get it to look nice with MWO mechs, figuring out the whole pipeline, figuring out this whole stuff. Just with the video, like I told you, the final video we uploaded was like version 24. So it's like final. Yeah. So there's not really anything that I would say that I regret or anything, but it's a lot of work that didn't necessarily would have to be done.
True.
Okay. So you've already teased some of the upcoming stuff. You talked about your plans regarding those episodes, about 2 to 3 minutes. Is there anything else you want to tease on this podcast, or should we just refer everyone to Patreon for that?
You don't even have to go to Patreon. I mean, if you want to support us on Patreon, it would be super nice because, like I said, right now we are on a massive loss with this project. We are not making any money from this. Definitely not. Quite the opposite. The only reason that I can sustain this production is because this is like my hobby, and I spend my hobby budget on this. All of us have families. Most of the TMC members even have kids. So if you want to support us on Patreon, it's super nice, but you can get most of the updates just on my Twitter. So
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what can we and the community do to really support you besides Patreon and just spreading the word? Is there anything specific you guys need help with? Anything you're looking for that you could use?
So the thing with projects like this, they don't necessarily get faster if you increase the team size. So it's super nice. We have lots of messages of people say like, "Oh yeah, how about this?" and I can do that for you, and which is super cool, and I appreciate it. And most of this we can actually use, but incorporating this all in a movie like takes more time than it saves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason why game development takes so long. It doesn't get faster if you just throw more people at it. So the only really cool thing you could do for us is just share the pilot episode and try to spread the word. Some of the Mechwarrior videos out there have hundreds of thousands of views, so there is a community, but we just haven't reached it yet. And I would really like our work to reach all of these people.
We can do that for sure.
Yeah, we spend so much work on this, and we do it for us. It could have just had gotten 1,000 views, and we would still make the next episode. But it's really nice if it has lots of reach and people look at it and give us feedback. And yeah.
Absolutely. So anyone listening to this podcast, please go ahead and share the video, look on Twitter and share and retweet some of the amazing stuff. And I mean, go to the Mechwarrior online forums if they're still active. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, I've posted the video there, but it's really dead.
Yeah. Or Reddit. If you really wanted to go to Reddit, what is that? But yeah. Twitter's always good though. Twitter's
Twitter and the Facebook BattleText groups. They are also very
Facebook
active.
Battle Group is good.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one reason Facebook is still relevant for some of us. All right. So as kind of the final segment, you've talked a fair bit about the people you work with and the people who help you do this amazing thing. Could you give us a really quick rundown? Just how big is your team? How do you split your work? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let me just count. We have a Discord server that we use for communications, and right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 core members and 2 additional people helping us. So it's almost 10 people now. TMC used to be 4 people, but we just have grown so quickly and so much, and people just keep reaching out to us and sending us stuff. It's really cool. But the core team is me, Andreas, Charlie, Bernhard from Austria, Tim, the other Tim, Christian, and other people. So it's we organize on Discord, have weekly meetings. We sit down at night, work together. Some of the guys I've met in real life, some I don't. But like I said, we are all from Germany, so that makes it a little bit easier to work in a team. And the TMC and the project wouldn't have existed without them. So
True.
Yeah. Do you communicate in German or in English?
Yeah, we communicate in German. We have a project channel on our Discord which is in English because recently we've have added someone whose main language is English. But when we have our Thursday meetings, we communicate in German. It's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unusual to find this many people disqualified in such a small space as one country. How did you guys come together?
Well, it's a funny thing. When we started, we weren't. We just picked up the skills while we are doing it. So, for example, Andreas, the guy who makes the rigs and the walk cycles and the animations, he has a restaurant, or had a restaurant. He's working in the restaurant business. So
Wow.
when he started in 2013, he had no idea, and he just did this as a hobby, and it evolved until this point. I'm the only one who does this professionally.
I've gone from so many tables to tables. I'm an expert at walk cycles. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming most of your skills are self-taught. Then, do you have any resources you use for teaching purposes?
For teaching, so most of the stuff that we do is done in Blender, and the stuff that isn't can be done in Blender, and I just do it in other programs because it's a bit more fleshed out there. For example, the simulations are just easier and more flexible in Houdini. But for Blender, there's like 5 million YouTube tutorials.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
For all the other stuff, I can really recommend a site called Pluralsight. It's like one of these e-learning platforms that actually taught me how to use Substance Painter. So that's where I learned my texturing. And they have, if you register, it does cost money per month, but like 20 euros or something, $20. And the first 10 hours are free. So you can watch 2 or 3 tutorials completely for free, and just cancel your subscription if you want to do that. But if you really want to get into this field, you have to realize that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and years of practice and just not giving up and retrying 500 times. If I show you my first renderings from 2015, you can't really look at them. It's just...
I mean, practice makes perfect in basically any field.
Yeah.
So.
There's no talent involved. It's just practice. The only thing that I did is just the past 5 years.
That's
practice.
why it's lots of Germans.
Oh my!
like for example, if I show you my notebooks, I cannot draw. It ends at stick figures. I can't sketch. I can't draw, and I really appreciate when people can actually draw stuff. I just cannot. So I'm really not talented in that way. I just practiced a lot, and if you want to do that yourself, you just have to put in the hours, and after a while, you realize that something you've done actually looks good.
I don't think my stick figure of myself just doesn't look too good after 20 years, so I'm gonna quit on that one. Sorry.
It's still art, Bob. It still counts.
It's still art, yeah.
Yes.
Hard is hard. Yeah. Alright, so with 7 people, how many hours do you pour into these projects?
A lot, huh?
Or do you even want to say?
It's not. It's an unknown amount of time.
It's an unknown amount of time. It's it depends from week to week. I had weeks where I basically finished work and then at like 5 and then spent until 3 a.m. in the night just on the project. So like several hours a day. We don't keep count, but for example, on my animation film that I made for my bachelor thesis, with a team of 6, we worked a total of about 4,500 hours.
Ooh, damn.
For what length result?
That's my bachelor film. We just made a little animation project, and that's the only time I kept count. That's why I'm using it as an example.
Yeah. How long was the resulting?
1 minute 30.
Okay, so yeah, that should give a really good perspective
Yeah.
as to how long something like
I mean,
this takes.
If you want to get a perspective on this, watch a Marvel movie and wait until the credits roll.
Yeah, then you see the
Yeah,
list and list
that's
of
fair.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you imagine that all of these people work on the movie for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
No? So I have colleagues from my professional experience. For example, one of those guys worked on Bumblebee, the movie, and they just have a team and they get assigned one single shot.
Mm-hmm.
They work on that shot for 8 months with like 6 people, just like Bumblebee transforming, and then the shot gets cut out of the movie.
Yeah, because honestly, because well, maybe my wife and I love that film. So can you tell us which shot was worked on by your colleagues?
I don't know actually.
Damn. Okay.
I know that he's a lighting artist at one of the major studios involved, and it would have been one of the transformation shots.
And there's actually surprisingly there's not that many in that movie. You know, considering the Bayformer verse, and this is Bumblebee's a whole other universe now. So, I mean, and that's really cool. I kind of wish I knew which part it was so I could point it out to later on and while watching.
I can follow up. I could
That'd be
write him
awesome.
Write
I
him
would
on
love to
Skype.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. But he just did the lighting for that, so that
All
gives
right.
you an idea how many people you actually need to produce something like that on a Hollywood scale. And we are not working on a Hollywood scale, but we have to figure out a way how to make 2 minutes with like 4 people who don't even can spend full time on this, because there's weeks. For example, Andreas just became a father a few months ago, and
Congrats.
there's like a lot of time involved with that. So I don't know. We have to find time. I wish we could have done this as full-time jobs, but it's obviously not possible.
Well, have you contacted PGI and contacted them and say, hey, we could do a really good trailer for you guys if you guys want to?
No, I don't know how much I can talk about this, but I can just say that we contacted pretty much all major corporations involved with Battletech and Mechwarrior.
Okay.
Cool.
And most of them replied and were really stoked about what we are doing. So I don't know what's going to evolve from this.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I think that gives us a good podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so with that, we're at the end of my script. So
Yeah, we really didn't have many more questions at that point. So
I'm just going to give it over to Lars, Bob, and Beide, and you guys are now in the spotlight, and go ahead.
okay, well, I mean, I know personally I don't really have any more questions on my end. I mean, I think you've just answered a whole bunch for me, and that shows your passion for the project. You know, like the talent you and your team have. So Bob, Biter, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, myself, no. Like I think you actually talked about it, like what was the inspiration or what got you started the project, and that's one of the questions I wanted to ask. But I think you answered that during the earlier part of the podcast.
I did. I just have a tendency to ramble away from the actual topic of the question.
No,
so
that's fine. That's fine.
Totally fine.
It was actually Astartes, so I can highly recommend you guys checking that out if you don't have already. It's an amazing series done by one single guy, and it's a huge inspiration.
I'll leave links down below so everyone can check it out as well too.
Yeah.
Like I think I saw that. You know, what's it about exactly?
It's about the Warhammer 40k universe, and it's about a squadron of Space Marines deployed into one of the heretic spaceships.
And basically going through the corridors and all that kind of stuff, fighting.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Amazing. Amazing.
It went really viral, so it has like 25 million views in combination. But a lot of people haven't seen it actually, so
Okay.
do go ahead and check it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm done with my questions. I mean, it's just amazing. I loved your cockpit for the dropship for Leopard dropship. I've never seen anybody do that. And like I'm more I love mechs, I love BattleTech, I love the shooty stuff, but I love the other details into what the BattleTech universe is, and that's my passion. That's what I love to see. The power loader on the dropship, some guy taking a box and dropping off and that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. The mechs are cool, but I love the other things, and you did a great job on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll try to play the role of Ian and Bob here and pretend to be a law person. I'm not a law person, but questions regarding the setting of your thing. Why did you choose 3041 and Ironland?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we have to calm you down. We have people who are really involved with lore as well. Myself, my only lore knowledge comes from reading a few of the books and dabbling around in Zana.net. But we have some people really involved with the lore, and they fact check all we are doing. So, is this weapon actually possible on this mech, and is it not, or stuff like that. So we chose a custom unit, for example, because there's just too much history involved with the well-known merc companies. Yeah. So we just made up our own. And the same is with the planets, because all the planets have a predefined history, and we can't just take one of the planets and invent a major conflict there. So we just took one of the really unknown planets in the deep periphery, which happened to be Ironland, because Ironland has a really interesting geography. It's this really oxidized Mars-like surface, but then there's like pines for some reason, and it looks really cool, like these green pines and this red sand. So that's why we chose that. The year 3041, I guess, we just didn't want to deal with the clans.
Well, like that's right after the Ronin Wars, though, right? I think Ronin Wars went to 3039, correct? Yeah, and then that's right after that. So yeah, I understand. Don't deal with the clans. Clans are bad.
Yeah, especially because Ironland is in the northern periphery, so that would be one of the invasion corridors of the clans. So it just gets too convoluted, and there's too many feelings attached with clans versus inner sphere. So we just decided to bail out of that and use a time frame. It's
I know people are gonna.
Easy.
Sorry, I know people are gonna ask. We put clans later on in some other video or something like that, because people will ask this.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the big picture of this, we took 4 months for the pilot. The first episode, we hope to get it out before Christmas, but we had some job related delays in our team, so actually that is a little bit difficult already. So the story we have in mind right now will probably span over let's say 4 to 5 episodes, if we are sticking to our current plan. And that is planning 2 years ahead. So
okay. Well, no, I don't mean this. I don't mean these episodes, but like another project later on in the future.
Yeah. But okay. what I'm saying is we are talking about like 2022, 2023 at this point for other projects. So we would love to do more, but it depends on so many factors.
Yeah, true.
If this blows up tomorrow and we can all quit our day jobs, then sure, then we can put out a lot more stuff. But currently we all have to deal with pesky jobs in our daytime, which limits the output a little bit.
Okay.
I'm just imagining a special episode for April 1st, and it's during the Dark Age or during the Jihad era, and all the episode is this.
I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that sometimes I use a few hours to make joke videos. We have these dancing mechs that I did because I just thought it looked funny. So you never know what will come out.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, like I have a bone to pick with your fact checker people, just because the ballistics on these mechs look a lot like rotary autocannons, which won't be invented for another 20 years.
Exactly. We found a loophole, and that is that
they do have Ultra 5s, and you could just claim they're all Ultra 5s.
Yeah, we did a little deep dive on that, and it turns out that the classification of the autocannon just means the damage, and the damage can be one very heavy projectile or very many smaller projectiles. Yeah. And for example, with the ultra autocannons, there's very slow firing big calibers and there's very fast firing smaller calibers. So we just slapped on a different manufacturer on that gun, and what looks like a rotary autocannon is now a very fast-firing ultra autocannon.
See, like that's what actually makes like a good. Yeah, I know how better. That's what makes a really good video is you actually fact check that kind of stuff and go to every single detail of what year, what time, who made it, all that kind of stuff, and that's awesome. I love that. I spend hours just fact checking just stuff like what would this be like in this time period? Is it even like invented? And then I go fact check and see if it's done. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually downloaded the Turing the Stars book for Iron Land and looked up the vegetation there and found out that on its coastal lines it's more forest, and then the more you get inland, the more deserty it gets, and there's like a special kind of pine growing there which doesn't really need much moisture. There's a lot to explore there.
I love that. That's cool.
All right, to round up my attempt at being a lore person, what kind of lore is there behind your mercenary unit?
So our mercenary unit is completely made up, so we have a little bit more creative freedom there. They are called the First Cuirassiers. I really can't say that in English, but it's a Steiner-oriented mercenary group, but it's just people with a Steiner background. They're not like a faction loyal mercenary group, but they all come from a Steiner background, and that's why they have Steiner-oriented mechs and Steiner-oriented camouflage, and the logo is like this knight with like sun stars around him. It's all very, very Steiner-ish. And if you notice in the pilot, the muskrat here, the little scout car, is actually not from the mercenary group, but it's from the Lurin Intelligence Corps. So that's actually the Lurin Commonwealth and their secret service. Seems like they have been hired by them for this mission, and so that's the background of our mercenary group.
That's cool. I love that. Especially the Steiner mechs that you have with it. Basically based off being a Steiner like background. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, Biter, is your attempt at lore done or?
I'm not very much the lore person, but I guess so. If you want, I have more on. I usually care things on more the technical side, like the dropship. The door below it rotates for some reason, and I'm in my head. I'm just like, why is it doing that? That's a lot of extra work for no real benefit.
I was curious about that too. Actually, when I was watching it, thanks for bringing that up. Actually.
I think it just satisfies the rule of cool would be my answer.
Actually, the Leopard dropship has bomb doors that can use for like aerial bombing, and as well as the aerial dropping of the mechs that we did. But it also has these side doors that can open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know about that. Like in MWO, you get dropped out the bottom as well.
Yeah, but you can also have the dropship land, then then the door opens, and then you can walk out of the door, and the door is serving as a ramp. And for that, you need the mechs to rotate 90 degrees so that they can actually walk out. And that's why the door rotates, because the mechs like stand on the door.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
So if you look at that shot again, you actually see that there's like rubber padding on the door, which is where the mech stands on. But in this case, the mech is on like this lift who holds him up.
Oh, I need to watch that again.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Here is like.
Love that.
I mean, the model is actually done by the PGI guys. I just retextured it. So,
Still, when I first saw that, I'm like, why is the bottom door twisting this way? Why don't you just open up, type of thing. But that makes a lot more sense now. So yeah, true. Okay.
It has the ability to rotate, and they wanted to do it just before to intimidate the ground.
Yes.
Or the forces outside. I mean, it works.
Okay.
I mean, we have lots of discussions about this rule of cool thing.
Yeah.
There's, for example, in one of the earlier versions, there's like this heat. This re-entry heat on the dropship when it flies down to the planet. But we just ended up deleting that because it makes no sense, because the dropship actually accelerates before entering the atmosphere, which is really dumb, but it looks cool.
Yeah. Well, I have a little run thing to mention since we're just going through little minor nitpicks. I felt a little sorry for the sound engineering guy because when they do the whole boot up sequence with the mech, it sounds like the whole bitching Betty has to say it very quickly because they only have a few seconds to get all of the little bits over and done with.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Somebody else mentioned it as well. This thing is actually I slowed it down. This is the original sound from Mechwarrior 3, I guess. I extracted it. It's in the same speed, and I actually cut it apart because it was too quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
And then in the little people mentioned that I cut out the all systems not.
Also phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is it's done on purpose, because if I wouldn't have done it, nobody would have noticed anything. So you have to plan some little.
Yeah, it's just a little sad because you can't hear the whole sequence. It's just all sequence. No, something's going wrong.
Well, I'm sure we all heard it before. I mean, playing MechWarrior Online, we heard that like a billion times.
Yeah.
So
everybody knows what comes, but we just don't show it because it's like.
Yeah. Nice.
Just need a parody spin-off where it's just all systems nom.
Nom noms.
I also love the usage of the Mechwarrior 3 intro. I think that was a really good choice there. It's definitely one of the best intros into the whole franchise.
We actually contacted Micropros. I don't know if you've seen that they recently were revived. They were out of action for like 15 years, and then a few months ago, they reopened, and I actually contacted them and asked if we can remake the intro and use the text. And they said, yeah, sure, just send us the link if you're done. Then I made a new smoke simulation, and I wrote George Ledoux.
Duncan Fisher.
Sorry, George, if I butcher your name. And I asked him if he wants to do it, and then we got him on board. Because I really love that intro as well. It's one of the best.
Oh yeah, George does a good job actually. He did the intro for the First Circle podcast. So yeah, good.
Yeah, George worked with us on the first videos that we did, like 2013. So we know him for a long time.
All right. I shall keep my comments about the builds or whatever to one thing, and that is, why is the Hunchback naked? Where's all the tonnage? Where's all the tonnage gone?
Naked.
Yes. Yeah, naked. That's a silly way of saying naked.
Why is it
What
naked?
do you
What do you mean? Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay, so Hunchback almost always comes with a head laser. I just cannot see it. Just like with the Shadow Hawk,
yes.
You do not have a thing for head-mounted weapons. And this thing is mounting what looks like a Rotary Auto 2 or an Ultra 5, which is a lot lighter than the Ultra 20, than the AC20. And I'm just like, well, the Shadow Hawk has a lot of tonnage to fit all that stuff on. So maybe you just donated some of the Hunchback's tonnage to the Shadow Hawk.
I just opened the Hunchback, and I will show you. I will when it finished loading, I will share my screen again, and then I can show you all the tonnage.
Yep. But yeah, last point was just the typical Hunchback model we've seen MWO and Mechwarrior 5, etc. It has a much bigger hunch because it has a casemate covering the barrel.
Yeah.
In this one, they've removed the casemate. It looks like I don't see such a prominent head laser, and it's using a lighter gun. And they're just like, "Where's all the tonnage gone?"
Yeah. So we actually built all the builds that we do in Smurfy's lab to fact check them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can show you. The Hunchback actually should be overweight because it has so much added. So this is the Hunchback.
Mm-hmm.
As you remember it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one medium laser, second medium laser, then we have two machine guns, and an AC-10.
Okay.
Which can fire like this, like a tank cannon.
Oh boy. And I love your blowout armor. I forgot what that's called. What's that
Yeah,
called?
Reactive armor.
Yeah,
I
reactive
added,
armor.
explosive reactive armor.
Yeah, that's
I-
beautiful.
It's
I
such a
love
shame
the-
we're so far away from them. You can't see these kind of details.
Yeah.
I'm like stuck
Yeah.
squinting at the screen.
You will see them. I promise.
promise.
That is
Okay,
cool.
but where's the head laser?
The head laser
Oh, Biter.
is replaced by this thing here, and here we have
ASRM2? Ooh, what's
here
that?
we have a chef launcher.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's cool.
I don't know if you know what this is, but this is on fighter planes.
Yeah.
And they launch like small metallic stripes to disturb radar-locked weapons.
Freaking cool.
Oh my god, that is so awesome.
Okay, Biter, does that qualify?
That looks like it's mounted in the left.
Oh, Biter, come on!
Mounted laser. Where's the room?
Nitpicks, Biter.
Oh my god, that's cool.
Yeah, and I just love the look of these Russian tanks
Yeah.
with explosive reactive armor on them. So for the Hunchback being a brawler mech, I just decided to add some.
I love it, yeah.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
and it also has these
The
claws
claws.
here, which we will see in action.
Oh, great!
Ooh.
In action, unlike in Mechwarrior Online, they're just there for being pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can be used.
Yeah, I mean now we can just take them and have him
Punch, yeah.
have him punch people.
Nice.
That is awesome. Oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Bob is just like,
Oh yeah.
This is always
Doing.
the funniest thing.
I always like it's just funny because it's just so wiggly, but like it's just great looking. I love it.
Yeah.
My only remaining point is where's the casemate? Why did you choose to remove it? Or some of it?
Because it would be too long.
It would be a
The
big
old
hug.
reliable.
The old reliable, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just those little
This is-
details
this is-
make it good.
It's actually from SpongeBob. I don't know if you know that. But he calls it, yeah.
It's a Russian SpongeBob mech.
Oh god.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's cool.
I do kind of find it funny. We got very fancy Shadowhawk, Hunchback, funny loadout on the Rifleman, and just a catapult, at least from visual.
Yeah, I mean the catapult has its own details as well. I mean it has the added radar and smoke launchers, and for the catapult I actually spent a lot of time because I completely remodeled the rocket launchers because
Okay.
in the MWO models they are just textures,
Mhm.
but for later use we need actual rockets inside a pod. So I completely deleted that and made it new.
And well, you don't need to make too many changes to perfection, I think Ian should say about the catapult.
I mean, I'm always open to
Yep.
improvement. I love the catapult. I'm not necessarily married to the Mechwarrior Online model of it.
I just mean
do
in terms of
come
its loadout,
from-
because all of them are the.
Okay, yeah.
Other than the
Yeah,
fact
don't
that
say
any
that.
head weapons have been removed.
Oh, Biter. Well, there's a lot of customization that he did. So basically, they probably took it out and put the chaff launcher instead, which costs weight, and then
Oh, it's a
put the
different
reactive
space.
armor. That kind of
and
stuff.
Just the I think what I thought with the head laser was that the model looked really ugly from Mechwarrior Online because it just sticked in there. So I just got rid of it and
Did something cooler.
Yeah.
Did something cooler. Yeah, the chaff launcher.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the animation for that. That's gonna be beautiful. And
I imagine the same kind of reasoning for the Shadowhawk, since it does kind of add to the castle look. Like the silhouette is much better with the AMS than if you had to add that little, side box to its head with the Shadowhawk.
the
Yeah,
AMS. We added these little gun barrels to the AMS so that later we can show a close up of it firing and which will look a lot like these CAWS, I guess they're called, these base defense weapons in like Afghanistan.
Yep.
They blow out the mortars from the sky.
Yeah, the RT units on ships too. Basically, they blow out the missiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Ian. Yeah.
I think we should probably stop for
Before
IQ
Biter
tells
keeps
us the
going.
whole storyline of the So at that point, IQ, thank you again very much for being on this podcast, and also thank you for your willingness to give us this kind of detail into your workflow. Absolutely
for having me on.
amazing. I'm just blown away, and yeah, just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Anytime.
And I mean, also thank you for the amazing animations you guys do. It's as a BattleTech fan, seeing stuff like this just is. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and also
I absolutely
for
cannot wait for more.
Yep, and then also for the audience, if you're listening audio only or on YouTube, please follow all the links down below for Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. Support this guy. He's amazing. His team is great. So please go watch his stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
I mean, just amazing. I mean, all we could say is amazing, but it's just it's very
But
technical
it is.
and
It's really good.
yeah, just the detail you put into it of the lore base is what I love as well too. Just those little tiny things you fact check to make sure it's there. You fact check to make sure this is there, that's there, and all that kind of stuff. I love that, and I do appreciate you actually putting that much detail into something that a lot of people just throw stuff together, and just kind of oh yeah, the clans came in 3025. It's like, well, what, type thing. So that's great. I love that stuff. Thank you so much for doing that.
It's at least somewhat biter-proof.
Yes, it's
Somewhat.
spider-proof.
Yes.
It's a labor of love for us. I mean, our background is all that we came together because we love the game and we love the franchise, and it's we get lost in the details of it, and had like hour-long discussions about lore and which planet to pick now and which guns to use and what is actually realistic and what not, and what looks cool and what doesn't. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a main part of this is that it's not like some job for us, but like stuff we actually love to do.
It's passion. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
great. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's something we can absolutely see. 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
IQ, any last words to us or the audience in here?
Just bear with us. I know it takes a long time, and I know it's really it's kind of a shame to wait 4 months and then look at 1 minute of animation. But maybe you know now why it takes so long. So please be patient. Just follow our stuff. Give us feedback. Give me feedback. And thank you guys for having me on and giving me the opportunity to show off all my and our work to the public. I really haven't done that so far, apart from like my girlfriend and a few friends. So I hope I didn't ramble away too much.
No.
That's
No.
so good.
Yeah.
No, it's fine actually.
We are all here doing the podcast because we enjoy the hobby, and that's just what you're doing with your own
And we're
animation.
all ramblers at a point.
Yeah, trust me, we are.
So yeah, thanks for having me, and anytime again if you want.
Sure thing.
Sure thing.
We
Yeah,
might
definitely.
come back on that.
Christmas
So,
time, right?
With that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope.
So with that, thank you everyone for listening, or ideally, hopefully watching the First Circuit Podcast episode 128. Today we talked about hired steel with our guest IQ. If you want to say bye. Give it a
Goodbye.
wave.
Thanks for watching.
And our usual hosts, Lars,
See ya.
Bida,
Blarg.
Old Bob,
I'm last? Okay, hi. Bye.
And
and the actual last myself. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next
Bye now.
episode
See you later.
for some BattleTech and Mechwarrior news.